All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. Al Haymon is in talks with Ari Emanuel, the owner and the owners of the UFC, to sell the PBC. And that is what we're going to talk about in this video. All right, been seeing this all over my feed today. Was reported by Mike Coppinger, I do believe, is reported by different news outlets, UFC news outlets that are basically reporting on what he said, that Al Haymon and Ari Emanuel, who's the owner of Endeavor, also William Morris. I think it was William Morris Town Agency, which eventually became William Morris Endeavor, right? The brother of the former mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, to purchase the PBC from Al Haymon in a circumstance where Al Haymon would still be involved in boxing in the same way that Dana White is active in the UFC. And look, for people that are familiar with this channel, I think I said this about a year ago when people said, what is Al Haymon's purpose? I said that the way that they're getting investors, the way that they have this $500 million worth of investors that they got from a venture capital fund, that it was being built in a manner that would allow them to sell it, similar to DAZN. And how I believe that DAZN is being built to be sold. That they are investing large amounts of money to build the platform, to build the name recognition, to increase the perception of the value in the mind of some suitor that would later on come in and sell and buy the company. Now, that is what I said a year ago with Premier Boxing Champions, and that's what I believe to be the case now. That is different from saying, though, that I believe that Al Haymon is going to sell it to at this point in time. That I do not know. Just because you're having conversations about somebody buying it doesn't mean it's up for sale. I've said that before, or it doesn't necessarily mean that Al Haymon really is going to make the decision to sell it. And the reason that I say that is because when you're an owner of a business and you have control over what you're doing every day, it is a hard proposition for a lot of guys in those situations to then take a large amount of money to go work for somebody else. And if Al Haymon were to sell this to Ari Emanuel, Endeavor, whatever is it, William Morris Endeavor, whatever the name of the company is, I'll have that up on the graphics when the video's up online. That's what he would wind up doing. He would wind up working for somebody else, and he would be turning over control of something that he created to someone else. And I don't know, because obviously I've never met Al Haymon, if that is really the mindset that he's in. He might be having a lot of pressure from investors in his company to do that so that they can get a return on their initial investment. That very well might be the case for them. Now, one of the things that I said the whole time that this was going on, this was before I actually even had a boxing channel. I try to point this out to people in the comment sections when they talked about how Al Haymon was spending all this $500 million. He wasn't getting the money back in the fights that he was putting out there. And now I hear people, or at least I read people in the different comment sections of the articles that are talking about this, talking about how he needs to sell this to pay back his investors. That is not how it works, from my understanding. You don't pay back investors. An investor is investing. You're not borrowing money from the investor. The investor wants a piece of ownership in your business. So when you invest in stock in McDonald's, if McDonald's goes belly up, McDonald's does not have to pay you back for your investment. What McDonald's has to do is if they grow in value, then the percentage of stock or the amount that you actually own in the company makes your investment more valuable. And then you can sell for publicly traded companies, you can sell your piece back. Now, interestingly enough, I hear that Ari Emanuel and the company that he's running, Endeavor, are looking to go public, that they are looking to have a initial public offering and so consequently, if they were to buy the PBC would increase the value of that company and people would be buying and selling it on the stock market. So you would see that if they went belly up or something went wrong, that even the investors are not going to get their money back from Endeavor if something went wrong. So anyway, my point is this: it has always been. It's very possible that the PBC might be bought by somebody, and that is a sign of the financial strength of the PBC. Whether or not Al Haymon will do it on this particular instance or not, I can't say, but it does mean something. I think that's important for the boxers, though. And this is why I'm really wondering about this, because if there's talks about Al Haymon selling the PBC and they're loud, and those talks are loud enough, that might dissuade fighters from signing with them, because they're unsure about the future of the organization. They're unsure about the future direction of the organization, right? That could, if I was a boxer, that would worry me, because no matter what people say, excuse me, I'm not going to edit that phone call out of this video. No matter what people say, when a business changes ownership, that business is going to change. You originally had a founder that has a founder's mentality that said, I believe like the PBC, their motto is fighter first. If that is sold, that motto, if it's sold to someone else and they have controlling interest in it, then even though that may be the motto of the company, and it could stay up on the wall and in every piece of material that goes between the fighters and the fighters and the PBC organization, it will remain a big question if that actually remains the priority of the PBC, because the priorities are now going to be set by the owners of the company. And although Al Haymon or somebody like that or Tim Smith could still be in place, they will gradually feel over time the challenges to their authority, challenges to their vision, challenges to their plans and their aspirations, their relationship, and those things will change without a doubt, because the power is no longer truly in the hands of Al Haymon. It's no longer truly the direction. The ship is not being directed by even if it's not on a day-to-day basis, even if it's on a yearly basis with them having to satisfy somebody else, it's going to change the company. It's going to change it would change the culture of the company, which from everything that I can see. Now, I'm obviously not talking to people on a daily basis. Don't know Al Haymon, don't know Tim Smith, don't know the different promoters that are involved with it. But it seems to me to have a kind of a small business mentality, very centered on making sure that the fighters get paid right, that the fighters are treated fairly, right? That's a mentality of somebody that has a small business. And now the PBC, I'm not sure what their dollar value is, as far as how much money that they're bringing in. But, if they're doing anything less than, $100 million a year in revenue, then they are probably should be considered a small to medium-sized business. They're not Apple, right? They're not IBM. They're not Disney. They're not Fox. Those are big organizations. And when you go from being a small organization and you get acquired into a big organization, that is always going to be a culture shock to that organization. It'll be a culture shock to the fighters. And, when people ask me, like, what are the first things that I look at an agreement with, and I've said this before, I say, man, like, you should look at your assignment clause. When whatever agreements that you have, look at your assignment clause. See if they have the ability to sell your agreement. The agreement that you entered into with one person, if they have the ability to sell that, transfer that, or assign that to somebody else, right? So if, for example, you have a boxer who has an advisory agreement with Al Haymon, and his agreement says that Al Haymon cannot assign that to somebody else without prior written approval. In that case, whoever that is that has that written into their deal would say to Al Haymon, yeah, okay, I'll come along with you if you sell the company. But look, man, I'm a little bit nervous about this. I need a little more money, right? Or I need this contract to be a little shorter, or I need these different type of guarantees, right? So even in the negotiations with these agreements, they're going to have to, if they were to sell it, they've got to address all those kind of things as well. So, it's very interesting. Now, how do I feel personally about it? All good things come to an end. And, I love seeing Al Haymon being a significant figure in the sport of boxing. If he was to sell the organization, which again, I think I said it in a live stream with Black Fight Fan TV and 78 Sports TV. Look, the thing looks like it was built to sell. It looks like it's built to sell. And in today's business, that's how people are making money. They build up the value. They invest in an organization. They build up the value, the perceived value of the organization, and then they'll sell that organization, and they'll wind up making a lot of money on their return on the investment. If I was Al Haymon, or speaking to Al Haymon, I would say, man, just be, I don't know if he's ever sold a business before or been involved in the acquisition of businesses before, but they change. And being the man and being the guy that's directing the ship and the guy that's most responsible for what's going on, no matter how much money they put in your bank account, when you lose that, you're gonna sense that loss. Especially if you got if you have a founder's problem. I can't remember what they call that. It's like founder syndrome, where you set the goal for the organization, you knew what it wanted to be, and then over time you hire other people that want to take the organization's different directions, but it's your founding principles and what you think is correct, you think is right, that drives the ship. Once they take that away from you, or once you sell that and give that up, then there's going to be some seller's remorse to that. And if you're going to be working with them on a daily basis, do you really want to feel that? But hey, man, enough money. At the end of the day, everybody got to retire. So hey, I say, hey, man, good job to Al Haymon, good job to PBC in getting themselves into a position where somebody might want to buy them, and we'll see what's happening. Anyway, but as of right now, nothing has happened. No sale has been made that we know of. And we'll see what happens. And with that, I'm out. Peace.